around in my district.
All right, it is 5 o'clock. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. To get us started, well, I guess this is a work session for our meeting next week. That'll be at 5:30. There'll be a 5:30 work session next week, 6 p.m. council meeting. This is our work session this week. We'll start with Dane, who's going to give us a presentation on some things they've looked at when it comes to redistricting.
Yeah, thank you, council. So about 2 months ago, we began the process of looking at whether or not the city of Decatur needed to redistrict its voting districts. We put a team together with legal, planning, myself, information services, and took a good couple months looking at different scenarios, made some calls around the state, and based off what we found, we are recommending that we keep the voting districts the same for this upcoming election. And there's a couple of reasons why we came to that point. We want to just go over a few of those points with us or with y'all. The city of Decatur grew by 2,255 citizens between 2010 and 2020. There wasn't a huge significant shift in our population. And so that's one of the reasons we just have a major shift, although all the different districts did grow some. One of the main things we had to look at was District 1. And District 1 contains a 49.3% African American majority in the district. It's followed by 25.3% Hispanic and 22.4% Caucasian. So you have a percentage of the minority voting bloc that's already at 49.3%. We try to get that population or that voting bloc higher, but every time we did that, we actually would expand the district, but it would reduce that number. So instead of being 49.3%, it would drop down to 47%, 45%. Then we worked on a model where we would take a 5-district model and make it equal population districts, but that also reduced the African American voting bloc to 45.7% total population District 1, although the district increased in population. So the district grew with the rest of the districts, but the voting bloc decreased again. So all the districts were equal population in that District 5 model we ran. So there was talk for a District 7 model. I think we all heard that 2 months ago. So what would happen in a District 7 model would be the same thing. You'd have 7 district equal population, around 8,000 roughly in number of citizens. But when we did that, you got a 52.3% African American voting bloc in District 1, but what happened is you did pick up another minority district.
So you have 1 out of 7.
You had 1 out of 7. And so once we started looking at all of that, we said, well, listen, there's not a real advantage to changing the lines. This year we haven't had the exponential growth. Down the road, well, 2030, 2032, we'll have to revisit that because of the growth we're seeing right now currently in Decatur. And also, finally, the current map that we are working off of now for voting districts was approved in 2012 by the Justice Department. And so, with that said, we knew that we were safe with the district map that we currently have. So, a number of us are here, so we are open for any questions that you may have.
I guess my only question is around the 10%, what's the word? Deviations that
we just simply can't meet that with the District 1 population or demographics.
All right.
The others we are able to do that, but that's just been something back for the last 20 years probably. That's why the Justice Department approved this plan back in 2012. They no longer approve the plans because of federal or U.S. Supreme Court decision, Shelby County. So it's what used to be called pre-clearance, where you had to send it to them. And the last time we had to send it to them, they approved it. So we feel like we're comfortable with the present district.
All right, any questions? Thanks, Dane. All right, moving through the agenda, approval of minutes. February 12th, 2024, 4:30 special called council meeting. February 12th, 2024, 5 p.m. council work session. February 19th, 2024, 9:30 a.m. council work session. February 19th, 2024, 10 a.m. council meeting. Any questions? All right, set public hearings, ordinance 244579, approve rezoning request 142124, Moulton Heights, Habitat for Humanity.
How's everyone doing?
Tommy?
Thank you. I'm Tommy West with the Planning Department, and the applicant is requesting to rezone 19.52 acres from R2 single family to R5 patio homes. It is located off Moulton Heights Road, and it went before the Planning Commission on the 20th of this month. The Planning Commission recommended to not rezone 4 to 1. Do you have any questions?
When's the public hearing?
Before.
Okay.
So this coming up meeting is coming up Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
That would be,
we're setting a public hearing.
we're setting.
Oh, we're setting-
hearing, so
Forward
it
for
would
the
be April.
It would
It'd be in April. It requires at least 22 days from
Yeah,
the time you
it's the
set
first
it.
meeting in April. April 1st.
April 1st.
Excuse me, first meeting in April.
There we go. We'll set it next week.
Thank you.
All right, any questions? Thanks, Tommy. All right, public hearings, resolution 24019, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 1616 Danville Road Southwest. Public hearing was set February 5th, 2024. Resolution 24020, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 609 3rd Avenue Southwest. Public hearing set February 5th, 2024. David?
Good afternoon, y'all. Hey, I just wanted to touch the high spots on these, give y'all a little idea.
David, can you talk a little louder, because I know I can barely hear you, and I'm not sure the people out.
Oh, how about that?
That'd be clear.
Better?
Thank you. Excuse me,
Okay.
but I feel for the people.
Okay, this was initially inspected back on, May the 11th, and condemned. Part of our notes on this say that the mechanical unit's been removed, fence pool barrier's been damaged, allowing access to the swimming pool, which is always a concern. We are still receiving complaints that people are hanging out around and in the structure. And what we come up with is it's owned by Mr. Cooper, which is apparently an investment company located in Texas. There was a foreclosure sale set for March the 19th, which is upcoming. But there's been one scheduled already that was canceled and didn't happen. It's in rather poor condition, and I had condemned this particular property previously back in 1999 after I started going through the file. But we'd ask that next week at the public hearing that the council authorize the demolition.
Okay. Any questions on those?
You condemned it in 99. Wow.
We're getting to the point now we're seeing some of them 3 and may have one that has been 4 times through the years.
All right. The next one, or are you good?
One more.
All right.
609 3rd Avenue Southwest. The owner hasn't done anything. The structure was condemned because it was open and unsecured and unfit for human occupancy, contained unsafe equipment, was structurally unsafe and unsanitary among numerous other reasons. And the owner's taken no steps towards permitting or repairs. It's in pretty rough shape and a public nuisance as well. And we would ask that the council authorize the demolition of that one next week too.
All right, any questions? Thanks, David. Ordinance 244576, approve rezoning request 141923 for property located at 1306 Somerville Road, Southeast.
All right, the applicant's requesting rezone 0.34 acres from NC Medical to R3 single family. The property is located at 1306 Somerville Road Southeast, and it went before the Planning Commission in November and it passed 6-0. The land use will be residential, and R2 is located adjacent to the property.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolutions. Resolution 24034 approves special use permit for T-Mobile to modify existing tower located at 2611B Highway 31 South. David?
Good afternoon, President, Council, Mayor, David Andrews with CMS. This application is made by T-Mobile to modify the existing tower. This tower is back behind Kmart, if you're familiar with that. T-Mobile's already providing service at this tower. This is a little different from the previous modifications. This is a complete rebuild. So they're gonna remove all the equipment cabinets that's on the ground, they're gonna remove all the antennas, all the equipment on the tower except for 6 feed lines is gonna come off of the site. T-Mobile is doing this for an anchor project. Once they acquired Sprint, they started building out anchor projects, and this is one of their more important sites, or will be in the future. So they will place all new equipment cabinets on the ground. They will remove the 9 antennas and replace them with 6 new antennas. One thing the site will do, although it is an anchor rebuild, it is going to provide 5G service to the surrounding area around Target, around Kmart in that area. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 24035 approves surplus of vehicles no longer needed by Environmental Services Department.
Good evening, Jeremy Sherrill with purchasing. This is a request to surplus 4 assets, 2 garbage trucks and 2 loader trucks that are no longer in use by environmental.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 24036 declare surplus of equipment no longer needed by landfill department.
Same thing, this is for a 2018 bulldozer at the landfill that is out of service.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 24037 declare surplus items no longer needed at annex building.
This is a request to surplus the list of office furniture that I provided for you. It helps us to completely vacate the annex that was formerly utilized by IS and planning departments.
So that would go to gov deals.
Correct.
Any questions? All right, resolution 24038 authorize purchase of vehicles for various departments.
So the purchase of these vehicles has already been approved on the budget in FY24 budget. So no further funding is needed, but this is a request to assign the amount of the purchase to each department. And these prices that I have provided are awarded through the state bid contract T191. And it's a total of 10 assets, vehicles, 1 for safety, 1 for building inspection, 2 for community development, 1 for youth services, and 5 for parks and rec and Point Mallard.
Okay, we did have someone sign in that wanted to speak on this item. Mike.
Yes, sir. Mike Faruqi, glad to meet you at Luther District. Never addressed an audience like this before, so I'm a little nervous about how this is gonna go.
It'll be okay.
Yeah. I read through, I went to the meeting last week, and I kind of got a feel of how these things work. I asked one of the ladies how to come to these meetings and bring agenda items, and I guess I just signed in the sheet, so I could sign it in. I didn't know what I was gonna talk about. This is the second thing I need to talk about. The first one, well, I'll get to this issue. 10 trucks for a variety of admin vehicles for the most part is a lot of money to spend for a capability which may be accomplished with a sedan or a much less costly vehicle. I ran a brigade of soldiers for the Army in recruiting, and all we had were 4 passenger vehicles and especially for personnel. Got the 4x4 if they were hauling equipment. Another organization got the passenger van if their requirements mandated. But as I listened to the discussion on where those vehicles were going, my honest impression is we could do better with cost, with type of vehicle, and potentially with maintenance costs and miles per gallon as good consumers for our community. So that's all I ask, that maybe you could take a look at that.
Sure, thank you. Can you just briefly go through kind of how those are selected?
Yeah, I would say the safety department, I think they've had an Impala up to this point. We're replacing that, seeking to replace that with a Maverick, which is a smaller vehicle. For youth services is a 15-passenger van. For building inspection and community development, they call them super cab trucks, but it's not the crew cab trucks, the 6-cylinder trucks. And then for Parks and Rec, we are requesting 2 F-250s for the nature of work that they do, and 3 F-150 crew cab trucks.
Yeah,
all 4-wheel drive.
and I think, and you don't have to speak to it, but we did recently, through budget, start to try to get on a better fleet replacement plan where we could surplus vehicles that were in better shape.
So
I believe that the resident was bringing forward a sedan as opposed to a truck, and so for building and community development, they end up going on, especially building, going on job sites, community development, be it alleys and similar environments that warrant a truck.
Yeah, I think there's some small equipment that's taken with them in some instances where a bed of a truck is needed. And I'll say, where we were 5 years ago, where we are now from the process is extremely better than it was, because we're now we have a large spreadsheet with every asset, and it's Jeff, before Jeremy showed up, he put eyes on every single vehicle and gave it a grade on condition. We track mileage, we track maintenance. So what we've done is kind of come up with a statistical approach to who gets what as it comes to the 500,000 we've invested. Honestly, we could give the whole 500 to Parks and Rec to fix their fleet. It's in that bad of shape. But to spread some of this around to other departments who also have the needs. Frankly, a lot of the fleet is in rough shape. We've been in a bad habit of buying used vehicles for a very long time. And so the goal of this is to kind of, similar to how DU does it, is get these newer vehicles on rotation, eventually be caught up, and then have a proper life cycle to where they're going back out for resale, and the cost is minimized because we're getting value from selling newer vehicles.
Yeah.
There is
On a consistent time frame.
Yeah,
as
this
opposed
isn't
to
just
it doesn't run
us
anymore.
picking
Yeah.
our favorites of who wants what. We're using actual, and I can send a spreadsheet to y'all if you'd like to see it. We're using actual data to drive us to which place should be getting the vehicles. And it's updated every year, and we hope council can continue to keep making that investment into our fleet, because it'll pay dividends.
All right, any other questions?
I misheard you though. I thought you said that we had a bad habit of buying used vehicles. Is that what you said?
Yeah. And in some instances, I think I know where you're going.
Yeah.
We buy a DU vehicle because we're driving around in 1989, and a DU vehicle that's 2018 is an upgrade considering.
Also, it's hard to get new vehicle, or it has been. I think it's getting easier.
Getting better now. But it's a used vehicle that they're putting down because they don't want to have problems with it. Okay, I mean.
They're
doing the same thing that we're looking at doing in the future, so.
All right, any other questions? All right, resolution 24039, award bid number 24004 for right-of-way maintenance to Thrive Outdoor.
Yes, this bid solicitation was issued on December 11th, 2023, upon the expiration of the previous contract on November 7th, and we held a bid opening on January 4th. As the bid tab reflects, we received 3 responses, and we are recommending Thrive Outdoor as the lowest responsible bidder.
All right, we did have one person sign in, Gerald Crafts, wanted to speak on this item.
Before you speak, Mr. Crafts, why are we going with, why is Thrive the recommendation? Is it because they're the lowest bidder? Is that the reason? Because I know that the city's had severe problems with Thrive Outdoor when it comes to the work that they've done in the city and things like that. So I myself even complained about the work that they were doing. I had constituents complaining to me about the right-of-ways that they were mowing, weed eating, things like that. And then they don't just mow right-of-ways, they also mow the ditches throughout the city that have the storm drains and things like that. And so I had an entire neighborhood area reach out to me over the last summer and the fall period. And the employees of Thrive got aggressive with them when they complained about how they were mowing it. So I'm curious to know why we're recommending them again.
Well, from our standpoint, I lean pretty heavily, from a purchasing standpoint to our department directors who are overseeing that from an operational standpoint day to day. We did have a meeting last summer, August 28th, with the previous contractor, Thrive, and discussed a list of complaints that had grown over time with their performance. We realized that a new contract with this complexity can have a learning curve, and we tried to be respectful of that, but the issues have certainly grown that you are speaking to. But in speaking with department directors after that meeting in late summer, and with legal, we decided instead of immediately terminating the agreement, we were relatively close to the end of the contract. We had 2 months remaining, and we tried to get to the end of the growing season. So our strategy was to communicate with that contractor our expectations, evaluate their performance, and we did so. I sort of took the lead on that. We did that week to week, and we saw an improvement in the month of September and October at the closing of that contract. And after evaluating that, we solicited new bids, and they did make a proposal. We looked at their performance with us. We also considered their references that they provided, and leaning on Mr. Boutwell, they felt confident to award that.
So Daniel is managing those contracts now?
Yes.
Did he manage it last year?
No,
No.
He did not. Who managed it last year?
it would have been under Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Okay, so Jason.
We have 2 representatives. from
Yeah,
Repossession.
Daniel could not be here, but he did send his managers if there's any questions.
Okay. Do you want to,
Yeah, I would just like to briefly make a statement if I
Okay.
could. The reason I'm here, guys, is the point Hunter made, and I appreciate all of you, and I know Hunter called me back, the mayor called me back, and I spoke to Mr. Jackson the other day, and I appreciate you talking to me. The reason I'm here is to place doubt in your mind whether this contractor can perform the services that he's supposed to provide. As you see in these brochures, and I urge all of you to read them, their performance last year was not acceptable. And the city of Decatur deserves a lot more, the citizens deserve a lot more. And that's why I'm here, and that was my whole purpose, is to place doubt in your minds, is whether this guy is.
and you had the contract for,
I had the contract for 10 years.
okay,
I've got a lot of sweat and blood
yeah.
working for this city, and when we took it over, Mr. Jackson knows what it was like. Grass was this high. I can show you pictures where we did the hand ditches, what they consider hand ditches, we did them with a brush cutter all summer long, because it was so high. You know, it took us months to get this place looking back in order.
You know, I'll be quite fair with you. I don't know that we've ever had any contractor who has had our city looking like it was when we did it in-house. And I know that you're limited in the number of cuts that you do.
Right.
I mean, I'm aware of that. But to say that since we stopped doing it in-house, that I've been satisfied with anybody, just, you know, overly satisfied, I can't
Well,
say that. And that's as fair as I can put it.
I respect your opinion, when I took the contract over in 2013, I can show you a trophy of pictures, newspaper articles, of what it looked like.
I mean, I don't doubt
That
that.
the city was supposed to be maintained,
Yeah,
that it was not.
yeah.
Jeremy,
I
do
mean-
we call references, and is there any that have been done by Daniel or you guys? The only reason I ask, I think Thrive does have a contract, maybe with either Huntsville City Schools or City of Huntsville. I'm just curious for performance
I
there.
think it was Huntsville City Schools, we talked about that, I think I brought this up
Yeah.
midsummer last year.
Yes, you are, you're correct. And the general idea that Daniel and his team reported to me was, on their references, there were some that said the first year, there were some issues, learning the city, learning the expectations, and once that first year was finished, that there was improvement, and we saw something similar on our end as well.
All right, any other questions, guys?
I want to hear you, see if Marcus want to share that.
You guys have anything you want to Sure.
I mean, from a professional standpoint, do you think going with the contract that Thrive is presenting is a good direction to go in from your standpoint? Now, I don't want to put you on the spot and put you in a position, but.
Well, from a business standpoint, I don't see why we shouldn't award it to Thrive.
Okay.
And Thrive is performing
Yes, sir.
to your expectations.
Yes, sir.
We'll say it was end of the season when it started to,
When it got real bad.
well, when it got better is what it sounds like.
I was going to say, it was awful all throughout the season.
It was
I
pretty
was getting
bad.
calls too.
Oh, I would say, I think we were all getting calls that their performance was absolutely awful throughout last summer. It was rough.
But it got better towards the end.
And that was after a conversation with Thrive where we discussed our issues, is that
Yes,
is
sir.
that right?
Yes, we had that meeting late summer, and we let them know we're trying to finish this contract out. We let them know they're on a short leash, and we were able to finish out the contract with significant improvement.
Has there been ongoing conversations with Thrive, since then, or any new information about, going into a new season?
Well, they know our expectations if they are awarded it, and we'll enter that just like we exited the former one with the expectations clearly communicated.
All right, any other questions? All right, thanks, guys. Resolution 24040, approved budget amendment for police training facility awnings.
Yes, so this is a request for some additional funds from the general unassigned balance to add awnings onto the police training facility. The original bid for the improvements out there was awarded last August 7th to U.S. Constructors on Resolution 223-209. We have neared the completion of that project. It's discovered that rain has been coming in at the doorways. And so due to that rain, the contractors have been unable to completely install the new flooring because the rain would bring damage. So we've provided a quote from U.S. Constructors to install some overhead awnings the length of the building. There's still $15,505 that remains that was budgeted for this project, which leaves a shortage of $7,995 to the quote of $23,500. So that's what we're asking for, is the $7,995.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 24041, approved acceptance of public use and maintenance for Old River Manor, a re-subdivision of Lot 1 of Morris Brothers subdivision, and that looks like the next one is the same thing for Lot 2.
These are the same thing. These are subdivisions that's been constructed. We've inspected them and they're complete, so we're asking city council to accept them for use and maintenance.
All right, any questions? Resolution 24043, approved proposal with TTL for 2024 air compliance assistance for the Decatur Morgan County Regional Landfill.
Good evening, Wanda Tyler, Landfill and Recycling. We are federally mandated to annually report on our greenhouse gas emissions and also to stay in compliance with methane and carbon dioxide that we put into the air. This proposal TTL has provided will take care of those 6 reports that we're mandated to do on an annual basis. And this proposal, the total is $14,500.
All right, any questions? Resolution 24044, approve application for an Alabama Historical Commission grant to expand the 2nd Avenue Historic District.
Yes, Alan Stover with the Community Development Department. This is a grant that we're applying for. It's not, we will apply for awarded, we'll come back to you, but it is a 60/40 grant, and it is to do just what, to make a nomination for the Historic District for 2nd Avenue.
All right, any questions? Resolution 24045, approve application for an Alabama Historical Commission grant for a historic structure report for the Carnegie Library.
This is also just a grant application. It's a 60/40 grant, but Caroline, and just we're aware that probably
the amount of the grant will not cover what the cost of the report would be. So we're going ahead and making you aware of that, that it'll be over the amount, the total amount of the grant. So the total amount estimated for the project would be $70,000, $25,000 grant would leave us a balance of $45,000. These historic reports, we just have completed the one for the old bank. We've done one at Delano. This just allows us then to go back to secure other funding to actually do some of these renovations as they're needed, and we will bring that report to you when we get everything finalized from the old bank. But so it's just, it allows us to then go out and request additional funding.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 24047 approves Safe Haven Baby Box Program appropriation.
That's just the state legislature, Decatur, Morgan Foundation, and the city of Decatur and Morgan County are going together. And let's see, Chief Thornton can probably give a better idea, but it's an idea that's come forth whereby if you wish, this is unfortunate, for whatever reason you wish to abandon your child, this gives a place that it can be carried to and to the hospital.
At the hospital.
Carried to the hospital, and that is a place that will give that haven, and there will be some kind of a mechanism that lets the hospital know that the child is there, and they will go immediately. Instead of it being abandoned somewhere else, it'll be abandoned at the hospital, which seems to be a natural thing. Now, Chief Thornton can, I'm sure, give more information. I'm just giving you what I know.
Do you have anything to add? Okay.
I can say that we couldn't use our fire stations for a box placement because of the dispatches that we receive, and we wouldn't have personnel there. That's why the hospital was a better idea.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Tracy from the fire department. So what this stuff had come about this box, and basically you put a hole in the side of a building, and if somebody doesn't want to keep their baby, they can take it and put it in that box, and in a fire station. So there seemed to be some problems with that, with people taking it to me of putting it in the fire station. Some of the crews may go out early in the day and not come back in, and it's all connected to a monitoring system. If something failed in that monitoring system, it could be hours before somebody is there to take a look and check on the baby. As we talk to many different people in this process, that a lot of times the babies are not in the best shape when people drop them off. A lot of times mothers are addicted to drugs, and the children are addicted to drugs, so like time is like something pretty precious for those. Miss Terry Collins has worked really hard on this to try to get some stuff done. Doug Box has worked hard on this. Me and the mayor and several people have met on this. I think it's a great idea, a great way for the women to give the baby up, but do it at the hospital. If we do get a baby dropped off at the fire station, that's what we have to do with them at that point, is get them to the hospital, so that's where they would be anyway. My biggest concern was it not being somebody there with that box 24 hours a day. If somebody wants to bring them to us and give them to us at a fire station, hand them to a fireman, we'll take care of them, no questions asked. It's just the idea of that box where we may not have control over that. And like I said, they did a good job with the hospital being able to work through this, and they do have people there 24 hours a day that would be able to monitor this a lot better than what we are. So I think it turned out to be a win-win for us.
It's been used twice so far.
In Madison, it's been used twice. Right?
Thanks, Chief. All right, ordinances, first reading, ordinance 244580, approve amendment to Code of Decatur, Alabama, section 24.5 for repossession of motor vehicles.
That's something we were asked to look upon, and we had some assistance from the citizens. What it basically details is that if you choose to repossess a vehicle, whether you're going to tow it or some other method that you give the police department, the front desk, at least 30 minutes prior notice that you intend to do that, where you intend to go, and then within an hour after you either successfully repossess it or do not, you let the front desk know. If you did not successfully do it, you let them know that. If you did successfully repossess it, then you give much more information. You give where it was repossessed, who allegedly owned it, the VIN number, the tag number, who you were representing, and who you were. And that basically helps. And one of the major reasons for that is if somebody may call the police department and say, somebody has stolen my vehicle. Well, this way the police department can share with them where it is and what happened.
But typically, Herman, that's done before, that portion of it's done before the person goes out to recover the car. They call and say that they're gonna be at such and such address.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said after it.
No, there's 30 minutes before they go, they have to inform, and I appreciate that. They have to go, they have to call the front desk and share with them where they're going, who they are.
VIN number, color of the car and all that.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Give a report on what happened.
I thought you said that
No.
they did that after,
No.
within an hour afterwards. But
No, I did. There's two different sets to it. And I appreciate that because I want that to be clear. No, they have to call or notify them at least 30 minutes prior to them attempting to repossess it. I appreciate you sharing that because that's an important part of it.
We worked, with, a lot of you know, but Herman and I met with Dr. Rice and Dr. Owens both on this, so that's kind of where this came from. We did Mr.
I've got a question
Okay.
on this. Do you, Herman, in your opinion, think that we should address, you know, we've got call before, call after. Do we put in there that if the piece is breached, it stops?
That's already understood. If you breach the peace, you best stop, okay?
Mr. Faruqi.
I agree, but that's already part of the law.
I'd feel better if it was in there.
Okay.
Well, I would like to concur with that thought, only because one of the key things in any type of an ordinance or any type of a communication is to make it perfectly clear so that there is no possibility of confusion. And I think by not having it in there, you let the possibility of some confusion drift into that situation.
Yeah, we'll
Is
put
that
it
not
in there.
addressed by state law?
Do what?
That's addressed in state law.
Yes,
so
it
it's-
is, but we will put,
it should
I don't
be-
disagree.
there
It's
should
just, I
be
think it's already
widely
covered.
understood amongst people that consider themselves professionals in the repossession.
I can put it in there. It's part of the state law, but we'll just,
reference
that's
the
fine.
state law.
We'll reference it, okay? So that's good.
Yeah, the other issue of discussion was the initial contact and then the secondary contact. They're not the same.
But no, they're not.
For
You do-
example,
you
the
do
color
what-
issue that you brought up, whether the color of the vehicle is one of the requirements, it's not. And I would offer that it might be useful to have in that discussion.
Now say that again.
The color of the vehicle is part of the secondary requirement. It's not part of the first 30 minutes.
The way that it's been handled before now is that you describe the car, where it is, type of car it is, color of the car, VIN number, all of those things, and that's been the practice for our police department before.
I believe color, make, model is not listed as the first requirement.
We'll put that in there.
Yeah, I mean, because that's been pretty much, am I wrong, Chief, that that's pretty much been standing? That
came in afterwards.
I'm sorry, say that again?
So it came in afterwards, not before. They call us after it's been done.
That's not the way that I was, that it's been done in the past.
I'm just reading-
That they
I'm
would
just reading the
notify
ordinance,
afterwards,
and that's
that
what
they
it
would
says
notify
in the ordinance.
that they were going out, and that they would notify the front desk that they were going out, they would make a note of it, and because when the person would call and say that their car has been stolen, they would already know that their car has not been stolen.
Sorry to interrupt. Would it not be easier to get that information up front, and then the secondary contact could just be that, hey, we did get this vehicle and it matched the description
He
before?
just said he can add it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what
You can add that,
no, yeah, that's a good, we'll adjust it.
yeah.
Because we want to know what vehicle's being attempted to be repossessed.
Basically mesh 6 into 8, or, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
And the only other discussion point I had was potential to issue, as part of that ordinance, requirement for the name of the owners, so that the police officer knows who they're gonna be in contact after the initial issue. And
That's in
potentially-
there. That's one of the requirements when you call in the second time.
Okay, again, for clarity, first time call, before the incident happens, someone comes on my property, takes something away, God help them. Maybe having all that information up front would be useful to the officer responding as well as any dispatch info. Second thing on that is also if the vehicle is on the owner's property. It says location, but it's within a grid square of where it could be. Rather, give us a firm address to attend, and that way the officer knows where.
Well, but the vehicle can be repossessed at any site, correct? Their workplace, downtown?
Yeah, but if it's on your property, and it's your house, and your vehicle's about to be taken away, I would like to know as a responding officer that I'm dealing with.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be a responding officer.
Right.
But
But
I
with the
appreciate it.
notification. is
This is helpful. We'll make those adjustments. I think that's helpful. Thank
Any
you.
other discussion? Mayor, you have anything?
No, sir.
Council, anything from you? All right, we are adjourned. Thanks.
Anybody stand up to speak?